Well, it's Tuesday.
Yes.
And that means we're playing with stuff from upstairs, and we're still messing around with brass engines. Mm-hmm. And actually, a lot of what we have coming up isn't engines at all. It's brass rolling stock and other stuff. But today, we do have a brass engine. This is a United Colorado and Southern 280, a Consolidation.
Neat.
So I bought this because it's one of my favorite engines on one of my favorite railroads. The Colorado and Southern had those big bear trap spark arresters.
I love
and,
it.
Yeah, and we saw that one at something. Anyway, in the canyon there, they've got one on display.
In Colorado somewhere.
In Colorado, there's a big state. Anyway, I bought this one years ago just because it was adorable, and it's got all of the necessary Colorado and Southern accoutrements. It's got the air tanks up on the top of the boiler. It's got the bear trap spark arrestor. It's just a really neat engine. And then I took it home and I fired it up, and fire is kind of the operative word there. It didn't run at all well, but the motor would smoke. We're actually going to try running it. A lot of people say, why don't you run these things? Well, because they don't run very well. They've been in storage for a long time.
Yeah.
This also came with the snowplow, because that's another sort of signature Colorado and Southern thing, is a snowplow. So it came with that, but it's not mounted on there currently. So let's see if we can get this little guy on the track. And then the way this works is the motor is actually in the tender. And a lot of these really small engines like this HOn3, the motor's in the tender.
Oh, well,
and
that
then
makes sense.
There's a drive shaft. And then a lot of people would do, including myself, is put a piece of silicone hose, because the little universal joints would tend to bind. Oh. And having a nice flexible universal joint there could help. But it does. There's a bit of a trick, because you have to couple in the drive line, and then you have to actually connect the tender.
Easier said than
To
done.
the drawbar. Yeah. And
Need
then
my jeweler's loop.
you put the whole thing on the track.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these little complexities is the reason why a lot of people gave up on HOn3, especially as we all get older and our eyesight starts to fail.
It takes a toddler to get that put together. Or at least a 6-year-old. We'll have to call the granddaughter.
Yeah.
She's got the dexterity and the vision to see. There we are. Now I can breathe.
I think it's almost.
Is it a thing?
It's on the tracks. Now, let's put some power to it and see what happens. Nothing. Okay, I see the motor is attempting to go. Now, what we are getting is what I euphemistically call a bad smell. The motor is kind of heating up a bit. There it goes. It seems to go backwards.
Better than it goes
A bit
forward.
better than it goes forward. But it doesn't do either one terribly well. Now, a lot of these brass engines that we've got upstairs, this is exactly how they want to run when you first fire them up. This particular one has always run this badly. And if I use a whole lot of electricity, it wants to go a little bit better. At any rate, the motor's heating up. Anything can be made to run, and can be made to run well. But as you can see, this would take a fair amount of work. So the easier way is to just buy something like a Blackstone model, and it runs straight out of the box, and you don't have to mess with it. But if you buy some of these older, more vintage locomotives like this, you can pretty much expect to have problems like this. And when I bought this is exactly what it did clear back 20 years ago when I was trying to run it on my railroad. And I thought, well, I can remotor and, just loosening up the gears and opening everything up and one thing and another. Like I say, anything can be made to run well. I just didn't want to put the energy into it, so I parked it in the display case, which is exactly where it's going again.
Yeah.
It's back in the display case.
We have bigger things to work on.
We have so many projects without necessarily tearing into this. But the United Brass engines are really, really nice. This one is a beautiful model. I mean, the detail.
I love the detail on it.
And
especially that spark arrestor.
That spark arrestor, bear trap spark arresters are just so amazing. And
well, they are.
Everything off the Colorado and Southern. And before that, it was the Colorado and Central, and we went up to Como, and we've seen some of these engines around and whatnot. But there's not a whole lot of them surviving, but boy, aren't those just the neatest,
really
neatest darn engines. And Consolidations are really cool too. So when I found this at a train show, even though it didn't run for stink, and stink is the operative word here, I decided to buy it. Also typical of some of these older kits, if you don't keep things wrapped in plastic, because you can see that the foam rubber here is a big mess. That all needs to be redone, except that it's not going to get redone because it's going to go into the display case instead.
Oh, gee, what was in that foam?
Yeah, asbestos maybe? I don't know.
That's nothing bad about getting things out of the attic.
At any rate, it is semi-capable of moving under its own power, and if I really wanted to just spend a whole lot of time without remotoring or doing anything, just sort of lubricating some gears and breaking some things in, without breaking's maybe a bad word, but we don't have a railroad to run it on anyway.
Oh, that's true.
And so I bought it and displayed it, and it's going to go right back to
it makes a good display. It really does.
Yeah,
Either way.
Either way. Because it's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. And a gorgeous model off of one of my favorite railroads, just because of all of the goofy accoutrement.
Oh, exactly.
That they have. Anyway. Well, if you haven't been over to the channel, pop over to the channel, and if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe.
Yes.
It helps us out. It helps YouTube out. It helps everybody out. And then you can click your notification bell, and then you'll be notified too whenever we upload a show.
Exactly.
And this Sunday, we're back at Ely.
Right.
Right in Nevada Northern number 40. So you want to see that. If you're not a subscriber, I've goofed the whole thing up.
Yeah, we'll have to edit.
We'll have to edit. Well, if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. And let's see. If you haven't been over to the channel, please pop over to the channel. And if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. The easy way to subscribe is the blue...
He was off track.
I was off track. The easy way to subscribe is the blue button. I'm not going to shut the camera off. We're just going to keep going here. The easy way to subscribe is the blue button. Are we ready for the blue button? Zoink! Right there, the blue button. Well, we're not sure how you found this movie on the internet. We hope you didn't find it boring as we stammered around and I goofed up.
It's old age.
And we'll see you in Ely on Sunday. See you. Bye-bye.